was open-hearted, confident, enthusiastic, fearless. That is your natural, true nature. That's you. So we don't have to activate that, improve your confidence. We don't have to make you believe in yourself. That's your natural default state. We bring your nervous system back to health. You feel safe. The fear drops. And that version of you, that kid version of you, shows up. And the best part is, it's not temporary, Kyle. It's freaking permanent.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ignition Path podcast, where I bring entrepreneurs on and talk about their path and how they got there. Today, I've got Daniel Packard on, and he's an engineer, actually a UC Berkeley engineer, and now he's a CEO of Full Liberation Technology. So he's used his engineering background to create something very special and very amazing about entrepreneurs, about us. Daniel, say hi to everybody and introduce yourself, and we'll get it going.
I mean, first of all, hi, everybody, but it's difficult for me to say hi because you mentioned that you're a voice actor. I was not prepared for that megawatt intro. It caught me off guard how good it was, and I'm almost like wanting to high five people, but there's no one around. So you have a real talent. Another side hustle for you. I wish everybody had an intro every morning. So maybe for wealthy people, you could just stand by their bed, and when they wake up in the morning, you could say, "Come into the world now is Kevin. Kevin is really good and not leaving hair in the, and like you could be like a professional fluffer." That's great. Anyway, thank you. But before we get going, I'm not a voice actor, but I do a voice, and I never get to use it. So this is my opportunity, and I want to do it and get your honest critique.
Okay.
All right. So I was raised Jewish. I don't have a very deep voice, but I found out that I accidentally do a pretty mean Santa Claus.
Oh, okay. A mean Santa Claus.
Sorry, mean meaning good.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll go. You do your Santa Claus, then do all my Santa Claus, and then people in the notes or in the comments can say who they like better.
Oh my God! And you know what we'll call the competition?
What's that?
Santa Claus, spelled C-L-A-W-S, like it's a competition. Who's got the meanest Santa Claus? Santa Claus. That'll be a really good name for a movie. Anyway, here we go. All right, I got to get into character because he's imaginary. But all right. Okay, remember, I don't have a deep voice. I was raised Jewish, and I don't know where this came from. All right, here we go. Woo, I gotta. All right, go for it, Daniel.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. This is the real Santa Claus, and I know who has been naughty and who has been nice. And if you are listening to this, you are most likely an entrepreneur who is also very nice. So, from the real Santa Claus, I say from me to you, Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
I'll give you an A for the effort. That's for sure. The acting is, and the you got into that character. Now, the cool thing about me when I do my voice is I can just slip into them. I don't have to get all worked up. So it's like, "Hello, Bobby. Thank you very much for giving me your time. What is on your wish list, Bobby?"
I mean, it's good too. And you're right, because you're a pro. I almost pulled my groin going there. So you're definitely more equipped.
And I've got other voices, like you already heard my, before we started recording, you heard my Mickey Mouse. "Hi, everybody, this is Mickey Mouse." And then that would slip into Grover, which is actually Yoda. I don't know if you know that, but Jedi Knight you are. So that's Yoda. And then Grover is over, under, and through. You just don't talk words like Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Over, and then I had to read the book, The Monster at the End of the Book, in character to my kids when they were little. So it had to be, "Don't the page, Elmo. There is a monster at the end of this book."
It was really good.
Book. So that's just a few of my voices there that I do. I actually have people call me and say, "Hi, is Elmo there?" And I'll just go right in.
It's impressive. We need our voice actors. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, we don't need voice acting to go to AI. I mean, AI is good for some things like building podcasts and whatnot, but it's not good for voices. You can't
No.
spontaneously. No AI will ever be Seth that does the Family Guy. They can just slip into voices one after another.
Your job is safe for now.
All right, well, Daniel, let's get back to who you are and what you do. So you're Daniel Packard, and you are a UC Berkeley engineer who has started an entrepreneurial, what the entrepreneurs need company called Full Liberation Technology. So tell us all about that and how you got there.
Thanks for asking. So what my company does is it's innovative and it's innovatively effective, and it's what your audience of entrepreneurs and just people in general want. It's just not available on the market. And because it's innovative, it's not really in people's frame of reference. So before I sort of tell you more about me, I like to be very clear what we do and why it's valuable so that your audience, the ones that care, can know to pay attention. Also, I know that your audience, I don't want to call it cheating on me, but they're listening to other podcasts. I have a feeling we're not the only one. So why, their time is valuable. Why keep listening? And it's because what we do is what's not available on the market. What's available on the market for addressing what we in our company call the Funky Five, which is not a funk band, although that would be a good name.
Great.
It's anxiety, procrastination, people-pleasing, perfectionism, and low self-confidence. That's the Funky Five. And what's available in the $1 trillion a year, trillion with a T, what I call the improvement industrial complex. That's therapy, psychology, spirituality, and personal development. Your audience will already figured out that what's sold is really insights and tips and tools and awareness that'll help you manage things. And management is definitely better than nothing, but you're not free of it, and it's holding you back, and it's affecting you being an entrepreneur, but also just happy. And we developed a system that allows you to measurably be free of it completely. It's gone and not coming back in 6 weeks, and we back up our results. So that's the unique value of what we're doing. So before I tell you how this happened in the entrepreneurial and really scientific journey, how we got there, do you have any questions so far?
No, the only thing that I would, I've struggled with some of the things, the Funky Five that you speak of in my entrepreneurial path. So this is going to be a great episode and a great learning experience for me as well, because when I became a voice actor, one of the things, and I'm a pretty confident guy, I've always been known as a confident guy, but I had a huge self-esteem a problem when I became a voice actor. I was I hired a coach for my voice acting because with a name like Goodknight, you can't just go out there and put out crap. You have to learn the trade. So I decided to buy coaching, and I didn't put anything out for almost 8 months from when I started my training. And one of the things that happened during that time, thank God, he was a fantastic coach that helped me through this. I was just bluntly honest with him. I'm like, I have no confidence in myself. And I don't know where that came from. I have zero confidence in that I can do this and even make any money. And I have succeeded at everything I've ever done. I'm a paramedic. I'm a respiratory therapist. I went and sold medical supplies for 9 years. I went and did medical development of products. I don't have a problem with confidence. And I was a huge, huge self-doubting person during that startup of that voiceover career. I got over it, and so I know one of those Funky Five was live and very well within me, even though I have already created other businesses. Like I'm a contractor as well. I'm a handyman. I've created those businesses. I've created, with my wife, I've created some, sales processes with her, and I've never had any doubts ever. And here I was faced with major doubt in that time.
Well, thank you for being honest. And I know it feels like you didn't have any doubt, but what you're sharing is an experience that a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people have. I was helping a gentleman, ran his own company, very successful, good at what he did, wealthy. And he said, then I get on stage and I'm terrified. He says, I don't get it. I know I'm a good talker. I'm the CEO. I can't even fire myself. I'm good at what I do. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. That's what I get. Why am I so good here? And then this just popped up. Now, if you don't know the engineering of low confidence, which we do, it won't make sense. But for you and all the people out there that say, why am I here and not here? it's not that you were confident in one area and then you lost your confidence. It's that the root cause of low confidence was always there, dormant, and in certain areas it wasn't activated. In other areas, it did show up. So it's not that's what was going on. It's not that you were or you weren't, or it magically came out of nowhere. The conditions were always there, just in certain areas and conditions, it was dormant, and then it pops up. So to all you people out there that are thinking like, why am I fine here? But then I go over here and like, I shouldn't have low confidence. I should be. It feels that way unless you understand the root cause of low confidence, which we figured out. And when I explain it to you, it'll make it a lot more sense where this doubt comes from. Because a lot of people say, if I have people that are tremendously successful and they say, I still have self-doubt, it makes no sense. But it does make sense when you understand the engineering of it. So thanks for sharing that story. And to your listeners out there, if you're like wondering why here am I fine? And then all of a sudden this popped up, it makes no sense. I'm going to explain to you why. And the reason I can speak with this confidence is because of results. We are the only company, there's 1 million therapists and coaches on the planet. Not a single one that we're aware of numerically tracks data on their clients and their emotional, the Funky Five, and none of them back up their results that we do, where you pay at the end when you get results. Nobody. And so I know of which I speak because we back up our results. And the results matter to me and my company because when I was a kid, my dad was a physicist and he sat me down and he said, the reason I like science is he said, anybody can have a theory or an idea, but it's the person that actually gets results that you need to trust. That's who you should listen to. He said, results matter. And that idea of like, yeah, results do matter. Anybody can talk, but like who's getting results? And as an entrepreneur, you guys know that anyone can talk a big game. Who's getting results? And so the love of making things and inventing things that got results, I went to engineering school and I was properly trained. How do you look at complex, unsolvable problems and then try to come up with a solution? And you build a prototype. And then what do? You don't just sit back and go, look, that's my theory. No, you test it and you get results. And often it doesn't work. And you refine and test and optimize and tweak until you get something that not only works and get results, but gets results consistently. So the good news was I was trained how to make things that work and get good results. The problem was they didn't teach me how to make life work. So I could make a robot that played ping pong, but I was an anxious, insecure, people-pleasing perfectionism with low self-esteem. I could do some things confidently, but then I would walk up to a girl and just be all Forrest Gump and be like, my name is Daniel, you smell like vanilla. And it was just not a good life. And like a lot of your listeners, I went looking for help. And I went to therapists and psychologists and spiritual teachers and coaches and gurus. And if I'm honest, I was probably in a cult for a while. And I just tried pretty much everything that was out there. And after 10 years and $100,000, what I wanted was to be free of it. I wanted to be confident and be me and authentic and love who I looked in the mirror. And after 10 years and $100,000, like what results did I get? Tips and tools and insights to manage it, but never free of it. And I felt broken. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I had failed, that I'm stuck with this. And I felt kind of pissed. I was like, I just spent $100,000 in 10 years. I was trying. What the F? And in this moment of sort of, I don't know, I turned up to the sky, and whoever's out there listening, I just was like, what the F, man? What am I missing? What do you want from me? I know this is a test. I know I'm supposed to learn something, but 10 years, $100,000. I want to be happy and free and authentic. What do you want from me? Now, I was just being rhetorical. I didn't expect an answer, Kyle, but I got an answer. And I heard my dad's sort of voice, which was like, results matter. And it just snapped me out of this fog that I think a lot of people are in, where we spend thousands of dollars in years always learning to understand what we're struggling with and manage it. And we're okay with it. And all of a sudden, I just said, no, this industry is full of well-intentioned people, but they're getting not very good results. If results is we want to be free of this stuff quickly and affordably, not great results. And so for my own pain, my own liberation, but also seeing this didn't exist in the world, I was like, I'm an engineer. We're innovators. We're problem solvers. So I started my own research company to see if it was possible. Could we reverse engineer a process such that you go through it, if you work the steps in just the right order, by the end, you measurably, because we track everything as you go through this, measurably what you're struggling with, which is one or multiples of the funky five, is just gone and not coming back. Now, I didn't know if it was possible. It was just, could we? And it was naively hard. When I said it, I was like, ooh, I'm going to start a company. I'm going to disrupt this $1 trillion industry. It was so hard, Kyle. But the beauty of engineers is part of what makes an engineer good is we are focused, unrelenting problem solvers. Look at all the technology we have in the world. It's all this innovation basically from an inventor's and engineering mindsets. That's how all this stuff happens. It's people who focus on like one thing for a while until it works. That's how you innovate. You focus until you solve it. And so we stuck with it. It took 8 years. We worked with 3,000 people on 5 continents. I worked with monks in India, addicts in South Africa, entrepreneurs in Europe and the US, professional athletes in the US, and to work just to see if what we discovered was universal. And it over $1 million in research and development. In 8 years, we finally cracked the code, which is a 6-week online program, which is step-by-step, and you go in it, whether it's anxiety, procrastination, people-pleasing, perfectionism, or low self-confidence, and you work the steps in the order that we've laid out, and you come out of it free of it. And it's because results mattered to me. And because results matter, when people work with us, you don't pay at the beginning because we haven't helped you yet. We haven't gotten you a result. We only charge our clients at the end once they have clear, measurable data that what they're struggling with is gone and not coming back. And we do that for 2 reasons. One is when we finally figured this out, we were like, this is what everybody wants. It's like freedom. In 6 weeks, we're going to kill it. And then I realized, no, it's an innovation. People are going to doubt it, which is all innovations in the beginning. And so everyone said it's too good to be true. But also, the industry is filled with people that overpromise and underdeliver. And there's a lot of people taking advantage of people. So people were extra skeptical. We knew what we had worked, but you can't just tell people, hey, my thing works. So we said, all right, fine. We know based on the data that we have a 90% success rate. We know the reliability of our program. So we just told people, don't pay at the beginning, pay at the end. That way you can be skeptical and still try our program. But the other reason we charge at the end is because results matter. And there's a lot of people out there, therapists, psychologists, gurus, teachers, coaches, they're well-intentioned, but they don't get results, great results. They'll take your money. You know how much money I spent on stuff and I didn't get much help? Nobody ever said, sorry, or here's your money. They'll just take your money, $1 trillion a year. So that's not us. We care about results. That's what we want to get our clients. If we can't get you that, we're not charging you because it's not right.
So when it comes to the results that you're going for, does one of the things inside of those results, with your system in 6 weeks, do whatever's holding them back in their entrepreneurial path, do they find, like, you don't do any teaching of how to build revenue, they just find it within themselves how to actually make money in their entrepreneurial path, so they do have the money at the end to pay you? Is that something that happens during that time as they get this clarity, and then that clarity helps them grow their business? Is that what you're seeing?
It's just mechanical. You have an entrepreneur. If you're procrastinating, perfectionism, or low self-confidence, I don't care who you are. You can white knuckle it. You can work hard. You can be successful. It's going to slow you down. We work with successful people. You're either going to be inefficient and make less, or it'll stop you depending on the strength. But also, it's exhausting, and also you're not as happy, which can also. And when you're not as confident, it affects your sales. And yes, so across the board. So when I talk to entrepreneurs, I tell them, I say, look, the benefits of this program, it's going to affect all areas of your life because we're going to the root cause. And when I talk about, I said, I'm not making this up. Just yesterday, I spoke with someone that worked with us, and he was not a hugely successful entrepreneur. He was just starting off. And he said, you know what? I need to invest in myself. This is a lot of money for me because I'm just starting off. but I got to do this because if not, I'm just stuck. I just got off a call with him yesterday. This was 3 weeks after the end of the program, and he said, I've already doubled my revenue.
Perfect. Awesome.
So the short answer is yes, it pays for itself very quickly. But then you get this bonus, which is that you're happier, more fulfilled, less afraid, usually a better parent, partner, or husband or person, and you're happier. So the program pays for itself just in your efficiency as an entrepreneur and productivity, but you would just enjoy life more as a total bonus.
Bonus. That's awesome. So are you using, so you created this system within yourself through the research, but within that, are you using NLP, or are you using any type of existing, stuff out there that helps change the mindset, that whole Tony Robbins mindset, do something for 30 days and you'll get a habit? Is that part of it? Or are you using any, and you create, like you said, you did your research, and you developed this program, but inside of that, have you seen that there's any shared, technology, if you will, that's somewhat like NLP or that self-confidence stuff?
Well, there's sort of two, and you can take anything like shift your mindset. So first of all, I always tell people this. People always ask, oh, is it mindset shifting? Is it hypnosis? And I just say, if it was that, they would have solved it long ago. So no, it's not hypnosis. No, it's not changing your mindset. Why? Because people have been trying that, and that's fine for management, but not a permanent solution. So no, it's not what you've tried before, because this $1 trillion industry hasn't gotten the job done. This is an innovation from scratch trying to solve. If we were just managing things, yeah, grab a little bit of here, and that's what people do. Grab management here, so no. The real innovation is not the technique. What we're doing is based in good, healthy, universal things that work, but the effectiveness is not the theory, it's the system. And what does that mean? Anytime you want to take something that's complicated and make it efficient and consistent, you use a system. That's what you offer, is a system. Systems make complex things consistent and efficient. It's beautiful. And so we said, to get the job done quickly, consistently, you need a system. So our program, a majority of the effectiveness is that you have what most systems need, which is an optimized toolkit of multiple tools that work together to get one job done. Let me say that again. An optimized toolkit that have been designed and focused to get one specific job done. And your audience says, oh, that makes sense. That would probably help. But that's not what's offered on the market. Usually you go to this expert, they'll say, work on your mindset. This person, oh, try breath work. Oh, this person, try reframing. And you're running around getting individual tools. Now that's fine for management. But if you want to really get fast, permanent change, a tool here and a tool there won't do it. And you know that. Let's say you hire a contractor to rebuild your house. And the contractor shows up and they're like, oh man, I've got like the best hammer ever. It's this incredible hammer. It's super good. And I'm really good with a hammer. Now, a hammer is a good tool. It's great for managing nails. But are you confident with that one tool that they can rebuild your house quickly?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm a handyman myself, and I have boxes and boxes of all different types of tools for specific things that make my life easier and their product look great when I'm done.
Yeah. And you have a specific tools that's been optimized. You don't have 40 hammers and like one's, it's optimized and tweaked to get a job done. And you probably don't have a flamethrower or a wrecking ball. It's a specific toolkit for that job. Surgeons have it, dentists have it, gardeners have it, everybody. So this is why your audience has failed, because they go and they get these individual tips and tools to manage. But you need a complete optimized toolkit that focuses on the root cause. And that's one of the things we developed over 5 years. But even that won't get the job done quickly, because you need another key piece in a system. So imagine you have a friend that tastes a chocolate chip cookie, and all of a sudden they want to know how to make chocolate chip cookies consistently. And they go out and they get everything they need. They get the toolkit. They get the bowl, the whisk, the oven, and they have all the ingredients. They have everything they need in one place. If they have no idea how to bake, can they make consistent, delicious chocolate chip cookies?
Probably not.
Why not? What are they missing?
The system.
Yeah. The instructions.
Yeah.
What to do, in what order, at what amount, for how long. It's very important. When you're baking, even when you know how to bake, a little much too much salt, mess it up. Put it in the oven too long, what temperature, in what order. It matters in all systems. There's a sequence and an order to doing things. When you go when you go to do surgery, do they slice you open first or do they do anesthesia first?
Yeah, the anesthesia, I know.
Yeah, the order matters.
Right.
In how long? It matters. So there's instructions for IKEA furniture, Legos, pretty much everything, but not for effing happiness. What I used to get was a coach or a guru or a teacher to be like, here's a tool, good luck. Then I would fail, think there was something wrong with me. So to your listeners out there, the reason you still have these patterns and behaviors is not your childhood, not because there's anything wrong with you, not society. It's because the expert you trusted had an incomplete understanding and were not focused on a solution, and you didn't have all the tools and instructions you needed to get the job done quickly. But can you see that if you have all the tools you need in one place and simple, easy to follow instructions, do this on this day, in this order, for this amount of time, can you see if you had all the tools and the simple, easy to follow instructions, we're probably going to get much better results than what's available on the market currently?
Yeah, I could totally see that.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. People, when people find out what we do, they're always like, what's the big breakthrough? Like, oh, did you figure out like a ninth chakra? Or no, it's the opposite.
Right.
It's that we're engineers and we did what works. It's that this $1 trillion industry is not, it's not in the DNA to solve things. It's to learn stuff and share and make money. But we just do what works, not because we're magical or smart or enlightened, but because that's what engineers are good at.
Right, right. Man, that's so when it comes to are you able to speak on any of the tools that you use inside of your system that you're allowed to share without giving away all of the system? Like I
don't mind sharing it, and I hope one day that what our system is based in eventually gets out into the world. I teach what we teach in schools to 9-year-olds to help them be calmer and more confident and less anxious. So it's based in something very simple, just the experts missed it. And I hope 30 years from now, this is just what everybody's doing. But right now, the experts are asleep at the wheel, so they miss the simple things sitting right under everybody's nose. But you said, is there a tip or a tool? And I don't share tips and tools because that doesn't help anybody. Right. What helps is the system. And also, unless I explain to people why it's even possible, they're going to be too skeptical to find out about our system. So I never really tell what's in the program because that's not what we're trying to get people into this program. And tips and tools, there's enough of them in the world. Your audience has been tipped and tooled out. If you want to go manage stuff, plenty of people will take your money and give you tips and tools. So I am anti-tip, anti-tool. We are here to save your life in a short period of time, and that's the system. But I can tell you what the system is based on and the foundation of it, because that will be valuable to your audience. Do you want to hear that?
Absolutely.
So the first reason why this is possible is our approach from the beginning. And that's two things. First of all, we were trying to solve it. The $1 trillion improvement industrial complex is made up of what I call learner sharers. They learn things, could be from a school, another teacher, their own experience. They learn something and they share it. Could be a book, could be a course, could be a retreat. Learner sharers. And they're looking on the inside and helping people. And there's total value in that, the learner sharers. The problem is what they're learning and sharing isn't innovating and it's not solving anything. Then you've got the engineers that are the trained elite level problem solvers. How do we know? Look at all the technology in the world. There's a freaking helicopter on Mars. That's incredible. That means they put the rover on Mars, which is incredible, focused problem solvers and engineers. And someone was like, you know what? We need higher altitude footage. And instead of someone saying, we already have a rover on Mars, someone was like, helicopter. And they went, helicopter. And engineers solved that. That's the power. The problem is the innovative problem solvers are focused on the outside. So the learner sharers are focused on the inside, but not solving and innovating. The solving innovators are focused on the outside. I don't know what my karma is. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what God chose me to do, but there's a little Venn diagram of people looking on the inside and engineering innovators, and there's a little overlap in the Venn diagram. And right in the middle is yours truly, the Danimal, who was an engineering problem solver who, instead of focusing on the outside world, focused on the inside world. And that's why we got this breakthrough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the approach was what we do, which is what engineers are good at, which is mechanical. Engineers understand things mechanically. That's how you create things that work consistently. What's available on the market is primarily psychological and spiritual. Now, that's fine for understanding. It's fine for insights. There's a value in that. There really is. But usually, they're abstract concepts that don't solve anything quickly. So it's not bad. It's just not efficient. Like, let's say, I don't know, God forbid, you're out to dinner and you start choking. And two people walk up to you. And one person says, hey, I see you're really struggling. But I got to be honest. I think you have a real scarcity mindset around air. I think you're really focusing on your lack of air instead of the abundance of air that's out there. And you're sort of almost attracting this thing you call choking. It's law of attraction. And your mind is focused on that you're not breathing out. It's just attracting. And also, I feel like your ego and your story is telling yourself that you want to breathe and live. And you're really attached to that ego in your story. You need to let it go. Just like let it go. Let it go. Or somebody walks up and goes, look, this is really simple. This is a mechanical issue. Your windpipe is mechanically blocked. I'm going to add pressure to your stomach, which will put pressure behind the chipotle and pop it out. And if things go right, in about 10 seconds, you will be mechanically breathing and stay alive. Do you want an understanding that's spiritual, psychological, or mechanical?
Right. Mechanical, for sure.
Why?
Because that saves lives.
But why? Why is it a much more reliable, efficient way to go?
Because it's repeatable and learnable.
Yeah. And it's repeatable and learnable because it's not a theory.
Yeah.
Right? Mindset, ego, attachment theory, trauma. Like they're trying to explain what's going on. But it's a theory, it's a way of understanding. But like something is blocking your windpipe, that's not a mindset. It's a mechanical issue. And when you know the mechanics, you can quickly solve things. If you break your leg, that's a mechanical issue. Your bone should be in one piece. It's now in two pieces. So when you go to the doctor, you don't want the doctor to say, oh, that pain in your leg, that's a negative mindset. No, it's a mechanical issue, which is great because there's a mechanical solution. We put it, cast on it, and a mechanism repairs it, and your bone goes from two pieces to one piece. Reliable, consistent, will work for everybody every time. So our approach was, let's try to find a mechanical understanding of the problem, and then that will reveal a mechanical solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to that mechanical solution, so you guys have found through your research that there's a mechanical, but you're still getting it in by knowledge and by words. So it's a theory that's promoting a mechanical aspect of the mindset change, right? Is that how I'm understanding it?
Well, you're right. There is some knowledge involved to get a mechanical outcome, just like a doctor has knowledge to operate, right. But there's nothing to do with mindset. And that's one of the reasons that people are stuck in symptom management, because the biggest mechanical thing we saw when we started looking for the mechanical solution is that the root cause isn't the mind. Now, you're taught it's the mind, and I'll explain to you, the mind is part of it. It's just not the cause. So what we saw was, for most of what people struggle with, but specifically the Funky Five, which again, anxiety, perfectionism, people-pleasing, procrastination, low self-confidence, it feels like you have multiple problems, but you don't. You have multiple symptoms of one mechanical thing, which is fear. You can call it anxiety, but really you're just really afraid, and you call that high level of fear anxious.
Right.
You could call it procrastination, or you could say, I'm afraid to start things and finish things. You could say you're a perfectionist, or you could say you're afraid to make a mistake. You could say you're a people pleaser, or you could say you're just afraid people won't like you, so you make sure they're pleased with you. And you could say you have low confidence, or you could say you're afraid to be your true self. So any engineer wants to simplify things. And we just said, look, there's not all these problems. There's symptoms of one thing, which is that underneath it all is fear. Does that sort of track and make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So then we said, all right, let's address the fear. Now, your audience doesn't need me to tell you that fear is part of the problem. But if you look at what's available on the market, it's overcome the fear, face the fear, reframe the fear, change your mindset around the fear. That's fine to overcome things temporarily. I was taught to overcome my fear. So in moments of fear, I had these strategies. I would overcome the fear. I would take action. But then 5 minutes later, I was afraid. Why? Because I went over the fear, through the fear, but guess what? Surprise, surprise, the fear wasn't gone. So overcoming the fear sounds good, but it's not gone. If you have a rock in your shoe and someone says, I want you to overcome this discomfort, great, but like, just get the rock out, be free of it. So we said, could we figure out fear? So you don't have to overcome it, push through it, reframe, it's just gone. And we figured out the mechanical root cause of fear, and it's not where you'd think. We are taught that fear originates in the mind. You know, change your mindset, change your scarcity thinking, quiet the ego, stop the intrusive thoughts. It's called mental health. So all the experts are saying, go to the mind. Now, the mind is part of it. The mind can go crazy pants Magoo on you, just to use the Sanskrit phrasing, and it can say scary, mean things, and then you feel doubt and fear, and it looks like it's the mind because it's saying mean things, and then you doubt yourself. The only problem is it's not the mind. If it was the mind, they would have figured out how to solve it. The mind is part of it, but the mind is a symptom of where the fear originates, which is the body. Fear originates in the body, and then it spreads to the mind. Then once your mind starts saying negative things, it kind of keeps you in fear. But the root cause of fear is the body. And this is, you know this if you pay attention. Have you ever noticed when you feel calmer, usually your mind tends to be a bit quieter and notice more good things? And then,
absolutely.
Yeah, and when you feel more fear, your mind then starts to notice problems and starts to spin.
Absolutely.
So just right there, that's the mind following the body, not the other way around. But also it's how we are mechanically wired. You are wired to stay alive. So your body sends signals to tell you what the body needs to stay alive. Hunger. We need food. Your mind senses the hunger in the body, and then your mind is a little computer to get the body what it needs. If you are in the jungle and you hear a sound, you feel fight or flight in your body first. Your mind senses the fear, and then your mind says, we need an escape plan or a battle plan. Right. So for reasons which I'll explain, fear originates in the body first. That's the root cause. Then it spreads to the mind. So the reason that your audience has been trying to lower this stuff and manage all the fears because you were sent to the symptom. You were sent to literally the wrong location. So your audience never had a chance to solve this because you were in the wrong place. You can manage it. You can't solve it. Now, this is not theory. This is real because when we developed our early prototype of the program that was just focused on the body, I was one of the early test cases. My body just went calm. The fear went away. And when the fear went away, my mind just went quiet because there's no problem to solve. There's no perceived threat. It just went quiet. It's been quiet. I don't meditate. I don't have to shift my mindset. My mind used to be mean to me. It was like the judges from the Muppets on meth, just screaming stuff at me, calling me unlovably ugly. What's wrong with you? And now my mind is quiet. And when it does talk, it says nice things. I'm 51. I'm losing my hair. I got wrinkles. I'm not making this up. I looked in the mirror this morning and I just said, I do me. Like it's nice to me now. And I don't have to work on it. It's my default because we calm the body and the mind followed. So that's inner mechanics lesson number one. Fear does not originate in the mind. It's in the body. So to all you people out there that couldn't quiet your mind, or when your mind would start up again, what's wrong with me? Why won't it shut up? Because it's a symptom. And as long as the body has fear, which it does, your mind will always start to spin and scare you and say negative thoughts. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. The expert sent you to the wrong place. It's not your fault.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. And knowing what we spoke of before we started recording, what else I do as a paramedic and with a mental health podcast as well. Next question is, this sounds like it could be a system not just for entrepreneurs, but anybody that's dealing with any type of fears or procrastination or, the Fab Five, what did you call it? The
Funky Five.
Funky Five. Yeah. How could I forget that? So have you explored this system above and beyond people that are entrepreneurs starting a business? Have you explored it with PTSD people or people that have anxiety in general, but they haven't had any answers when it comes to going to typical therapy or hypnotherapy or all the different tools out there for mental health? Has this been tested on anybody other than entrepreneurs?
No, absolutely. First of all, the short answer is yes. As we were testing it, as I said, we worked with addicts in South Africa. The South African government saw the work we were doing, and they saw that what they had, just had typical people would relapse. And so they brought us in to start to develop our program. The value of our program is it's scalable. It's all online. It's all just videos and exercises that you do. So it can go in institutions and companies and even countries. And also we worked with monks in India. And our vision is that this becomes just what people do. We want this to get into school. I've taught the program to 9-year-olds.
Wow.
I've had clients that come to me that are anxious and they say, I'm anxious. I learned it from my parents. Now I can see my kids are anxious and it's heartbreaking. Will I be able to help my child? And I said, absolutely, because what they're modeling your behavior, just as you modeled your parents' behavior, and you're passing it on, and it's heartbreaking to them. So this was 2.5 months ago. There was a woman, Cheryl from Washington, D.C. She comes to me and she's like, I'm anxious and I have panic attacks and I'm a perfectionist and I can see it in my daughter. And it's heartbreaking. I can't stop it. A therapist is trying to put her on meds. Like I want to, and I told her our approach, how it works. And she said, oh, once I know how to do that, I can show her. I said, absolutely. So Cheryl went through the program. We were tracking her data. We measured things numerically. And so by week 5, we knew her panic attacks were gone within the first 10 days. Her anxiety went down from about 8 out of 10 for 6 hours a day. It was down to about 4 out of 10 for about 2 hours per day. That was by week 5, which is pretty good for 6 weeks, 5 weeks. And she reached out to me and she said, I am so grateful to you. And I said, oh, well, you're welcome. Why? And she said, well, my panic attacks are gone. I'm already much calmer. But she said, my teenage daughter came back from high school today. And she said, Mom, I got bullied today, but it didn't really bother me. And she just was flabbergasted. She said, what do you mean it didn't bother you? She said, well, I didn't like it, but I've been seeing what you've been doing, and then I've been doing it. So I didn't like being bullied, but it didn't feel scary, and it didn't bring up the anxiety. And the woman was just like, thank you for giving my life back. And you just gave me the ability to have my daughter be calm and confident for the rest of her life. It's the ultimate gift.
Wow. That's really cool. Yeah, that there's just, my mind is spinning right now because this is, like you said, it sounds too good to be true, but it also makes sense. For me, someone who has dealt with mental health issues from the medical side of things and things that I've seen and didn't want to see, or even my vicarious trauma that I've dealt with, by, their 2 police officers were shot on my duty day where I was supposed to be on the medic that tried to save their life. And I got moved literally an hour before the incident happened. And I have that somewhat of a survivor's guilt, if you will, but I wasn't there during the incident. But I'm thinking, if I was there, could I have been someone that could have helped save their life? Knowing that most of the guys that were on scene were all very capable, but I have that vicarious trauma of not being there to try to help, when it comes to 2 police officers in my hometown who got shot maliciously, right in the, right as they opened the door to a domestic call. And it's one of those things where I'm really thinking, like, how does this pertain to the other side of my life when it comes to what I'm doing with my mental health program and first responders. So it's very intriguing. It's very interesting. And it's one of those things where, have you approached any first responder groups that have that you think would this work for something like that?
Well, thank you for seeing the value. I know you don't know for sure that what we do works. You have to try it to believe it. But you're smart enough to go, well, wait a minute, it makes sense. Yeah. And if it's true, holy crap, this is a game changer. Right. So you're paying attention. We don't expect people to just blindly go, oh yeah, this is innovation. So you tell someone in the 1700s you can get across the US in 3 hours, they're gonna call you a witch. But of course, it's possible with innovation. So you're paying attention. You can't fully believe me, but if I'm right, which I am, I just had a woman from Italy reach out, and she said, our teachers are emotionally unhealthy, and they're basically messing up our kids. We need something to get our teachers more healthy. Therapy's not getting the job done. I heard about you on a podcast. Could this work? And I said, absolutely, because it's a system, and it's getting to the root cause of everything, which is fear. It's different expressions of fear. Now, to answer with first responders, no, because what we need is early adopters to find out what we do, try it out, see how incredible it is, and then take it to these other industries. I spoke with a guy from Google today, and I'm going to help him. And he said, when this works, I'm going to take it to all my people at Google. This woman wants to take it to Italy. So we're waiting for these opportunities. I know it'll happen eventually. Innovation takes early adopters like yourself. So I want you to try it. You will feel it, and you will naturally want to share it because you're a first responder. When people are dying, you don't want to change their mindset. You want to save their lives. I had PTSD, complex PTSD. It's gone. So we want to get this into the military. So if you're out there and listening and going, oh my God, reach out to me, do the program first for yourself, feel it, and then when you see it, share it with your communities, your churches. We want to get it into prisons, because imagine, well, let me explain to you why it works and why this can make the whole planet better, even more than you realize. So here's what we understood. And as a first responder, you're a paramedic, so you understand the body. So this will make sense. The problem with the mind theory is nobody understands the mind. It's like a trillion neurons and synaptic pathways. They have theories. You know, they're like, when we showed a picture of a kitten, we saw this part of the brain light up. Like, they don't really get the brain that much. But the body, as you know, is pretty much mechanical. When someone is stabbed and bleeding, you don't go, ooh, this is their ego. No, the epidermis, the skin has been punctured, and you got a mechanical issue. So once we found out it was the body.
I'm telling you right now, the next time I have one of those serious calls where I have to do something physical to someone to save their life, your face is going to come into my mind, and I'm going to, because we as first responders also have a very dark humor, and I'll be like, oh, was it, so just like you said, like, oh, so do you think that it's your ego that's causing this to bleed out? It's going to be in there. Although I'm physically going to be doing the work, it's just going to be in there because of how animated you are with that. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, good. Yeah, next time you see someone with a horrible injury, just go, wow, I think this is just a story you're telling yourself. Yeah, I think you need to let this go. But truly, fear, it's the same thing. Fear is a mechanical issue in the body, and it's just, now we know it's just as silly. There's this theory of like fear is false evidence appearing real. It's not false. That's like looking at fat on your stomach and go, this is false fat appearing real. It's not false. It's very real. It's very mechanical. Let me explain. And it's so obvious. Our clients, when this program works, they'll say, I'm both joyful to be free of this, and I'm pissed off that nobody figured this out sooner, because this ain't complicated. Okay, the issue is everyone's afraid, okay? So we said, what in the body's making everybody afraid? So swap out the word fear and just use the word nervous. What system in the body do you think is making everybody really nervous? The epidermis system, skeletal system, or nervous system?
The nervous.
What do you think?
The nervous system.
Yeah. Why? Why was that such an easy answer?
Because nerves It's just, as a medical person, it's just a given.
It's a given because it's got the word nervous right in there.
Right.
It ain't that complicated.
Right.
There's a system in the body called the nervous system. And we know systems can become misregulated, malfunction, and not function properly. Everybody knows there's a system in the body. Everybody knows there's all this fear in the world. And the experts were like, you know what? I think this is a brain thing. No. Nervous system. Why did you not go there first? That's where we went first. And that's why we got these results, because we went to the most obvious low-lying fruit because we were looking for a solution. So your nervous system is your body's mechanical threat response system, not a little theory. Okay. When a tiger jumps out, that's not a negative mindset. You are in fight or flight because you feel threatened and your nervous system's telling you that.
You're parasympathetic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if your nervous system is healthy, you feel safe. If your nervous system is wonky, again, to use the Sanskrit, is wonky, you feel unsafe because you feel like you're under attack. If you feel unsafe, you then feel fear. When you feel fear, you feel symptoms of the fear, the funky five.
Right.
So we said, okay, this is sweet. We're in the body. It's a system. All these systems can malfunction but be repaired. You know that. You're a paramedic. So we just had to figure out what was mechanically making the nervous system malfunction, making people feel unsafe in a way that made it solvable. And that's what we did. We figured out what people are doing that's making their nervous system feel unsafe. It's not your past. It's not social media. It's not the pandemic. It's not the economy. That will create some stress. But if you feel unsafe, that's not the outside, that's the inside. And it's not your parents that did it. They're part of it. Trust me. I'm not letting them off the hook. But I'm going to tell you.
ACE's score is real. So
I'm going to tell you who is making you feel unsafe. Okay?
Yourself.
And here's why. And this was the big discovery. Really simple. It's going to make sense. And to explain it to you experientially, we'll do a little role play here, okay? You're a voice actor. You're good at playing along. But I'm also talking to your audience, okay? So I'm talking to you, Kyle, and your audience. Imagine we're friends, and imagine I start treating you really poorly. I'm mean to you. I'm unkind to you. I know it matters to you, and it doesn't matter to me. When you're in trouble, I'm not there for you. I put everybody else ahead of you, and I put you dead last. And when you're struggling, I not only am not compassionate, I'm critical. If I treat you that way for a while, after a while, will you feel safe or unsafe?
Unsafe.
Yeah. And that's because there's a mechanical link between care, trust, and safety. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, but the beauty of mechanics is if you know how something moves in another direction, you can move it in the other direction. So now let's say I start treating you really well. I'm very considerate. I'm thoughtful. I listen to you. You matter to me. You're a priority. When you need me, I'm there for you. When you're struggling, I'm listening and understanding you. If I treat you that way for a while and rebuild trust, will you start to feel safer?
Around you, sure.
Yeah. Which proves there's a mechanical link between care, trust, and safety.
Right.
Okay. So is it fair to say that you're in a relationship with yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that you and your listeners, in some ways, you're not always a loving, caring friend to yourself?
Never. It's rare that you're good to yourself.
Yeah, it's rare. You know that. Everybody knows that. Oh, I'm really hard on myself. Oh, I beat myself up. Oh, people know that. They know they're not treating themselves well. They know they're afraid. But nobody made the bridge that those daily small acts of you being unloving and uncaring to you are accumulating over time to break trust from you to you, which then makes you feel unsafe within your own body. What's creating the fear is not your past. It's not what's happening now. That ain't helping. But the core of why you feel all the fear is you to you with little undetectable daily acts that you don't even know you're doing because they're totally socially acceptable, but they are accumulating over time to break trust with yourself. You feel unsafe. When you feel unsafe, you feel fear. When you feel fear, you feel fragile, and all the funky five show up. So the cause of the fear is not the past. It's not the present. That can create some stress. It can suck. But all this fear where you're like, where's it coming from? It's not coming from right now. It's an accumulation of unhealthy acts that are building over time. That's how the body works. You can neglect the body for a little while. If you don't brush and floss, you're fine. But if you do it for 20 years, you need a root canal. You were never taught to take care of your feelings and nervous system. We're not taught it. So if you're not taught to take care of a system, can you see over time, eventually that system will malfunction?
Absolutely.
So it felt like you told me, oh, it didn't make sense. Where's all this fear coming from when you went to go, do the voiceover work?
Right.
Well, what if I told you all that fear wasn't about the voiceover? What if I told you that fear had been building for a while from you not always being good to you? And so you felt unsafe within yourself, and it just got activated through the voice work.
Yeah, I know exactly what was going on with me back then, right before voiceover. And that.
But does it make sense?
No, you hit it right on you took that one tool hammer and hit it right on the head of the nail.
Thank you.
Because
now,
I was very critical of myself before. That was one reason I was going to go back to school and get my degree in EMS. And it was just a god awful amount of money. And I'm like, what are my options? And I ran across a voiceover commercial, if you will, on Facebook. And I'm like, hey, I've been told I've got a good voice and I can do character voices. This sounds like something I can do. But I was already in self-doubt because I felt like I was at a stagnant of my career.
Yeah, basically. But again, that self-doubt, it's what you're calling it because these are the words we use,
right.
But it's actually mechanically your nervous system is not strong. That's what's going on. Then it creates a fear and you call it self-doubt. But that's a label on the symptom. I'm just clarifying because you didn't have self-doubt. You are not strong from the inside out. And so you feel wobbly. You're not solid, just like the body. If you don't take care of your body and your teeth aren't strong and you bite into a carrot and your teeth hurt, you don't say, oh, my teeth have doubt. No, your teeth are not strong. And when you put a pressure on it, you felt pain. So you don't doubt yourself.
Right.
You feel fear, which you call doubt, but that's not a mechanical understanding. But here's the beauty of this understanding. If what I'm saying is true, which it is, this is how we get a 90% success rate. This is how we can back up our results at the end. Because you were never taught to take care of your nervous system, it's now malfunctioning and it's creating unsafety from within. And it won't ever go away because daily, 10 to 30 times a day, the average person is continuing to be unloving and unkind to themselves, and you're reinforcing the unsafety. So no matter what you do, the fear won't go away because the fear is being reinforced every day from you to you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But just like with diet, if you are making unhealthy choices with your diet, you will gain weight. You're taking in more calories than you're burning. You will gain weight from little unhealthy acts accumulating into fat. Okay? That's not fat, false fat appearing real. That's not a story you're telling yourself. It's a mechanical consequence. But the good news is we know how to lose weight. Little acts of unhealth to little acts of health accumulate over time where the symptom goes away. We have evidence of this with the body. So the 6-week program gives you all the tools and all the instructions of what to do every day. And when you do that, you basically bring your nervous system back to health. And when you do that, you get to feel a feeling that very few people get to feel. Safe. From the inside out. Not because things are going well, but because your nervous system is solid and strong. Can you see that not just the Funky Five, but your life as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a parent, as a partner, as a human, how much better would life be
right,
if you woke up every morning and your default, as mine is, you just felt safe, how much better would life be?
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
How?
How would it be great? You would take the day on with excitement and ease.
Yeah. And here's how you know that's true. There's two groups in this world that feel safe. And I bring this up because a lot of times people will say, Daniel, it sounds great. I'd love to feel safe. I haven't felt safe since I was like, a kid. I don't even know what that would feel like. This fear has been in there so long. I don't even know what it would be like. I was like, I know. I do. I live this every day. I wake up every morning full of energy, open-hearted, confident. I used to be in a fetal position in terror. Couldn't leave my house. This is a healthy nervous system. So people ask me, what's it like to feel safe? I don't even know. And I go, there's two groups that wake up every morning feeling safe. Our clients and kids. Before the fear kicks in, kids are the most emotionally healthy people on the planet. You will never hear a 4-year-old say, I'm really thinking about finger painting today, but I'm afraid that I'll be an imposter, so I'm not going to use yellow today. You'll never hear a 6-year-old saying, man, I really want to go to the park, but I have a negative mindset around tag, so I think I'm going to stay home. They are a young version of you before the fear kicked in,
right,
was open-hearted, confident, enthusiastic, fearless. That is your natural, true nature. That's you. So we don't have to activate that, improve your confidence. We don't have to make you believe in yourself. That's your natural default state. We bring your nervous system back to health. You feel safe. The fear drops. And that version of you, that kid version of you, shows up. And the best part is, it's not temporary, Kyle. It's freaking permanent. You're free of it.
That was going to be my next question. So, I know that, a habit can be changed over anywhere between, 22 days and 256 days is what they claim that doing something new as a new habit, it becomes natural. So you're saying your program is 6 weeks long. You do something every day that's scripted and spelled out and put through the system, and you follow it. At the end of 6 weeks, is there any relapse? I don't know what's your longest client? Well, your longest client is you, but you also retrain yourself every day. I mean, I know in my EMS world, we do training every month to retrain stuff that we've already been through once, or twice or 7 times. We do continuing ed. So does your system, because you're so used to doing it for 6 weeks, if you start having this, if anything starts creeping up or anything like that, you say it's gone for good, but if it does come back, you just implement the 6-week program again because you already know it?
So it's a good question. I'll try to explain as best I can in a way that your audience can understand, which is to look at the body, which is, again, when we're used to looking at it through the mind, it's hard to wrap your head around it. So let's just look at the way the body functions. If you don't take care of your teeth and you need a root canal, then you go to the dentist, they bring the tooth back to health. You don't have to keep working on that. It's repaired. It's strong. You heal a bone, it's set. You're done. Now, all you need to do moving forward, if you have your teeth repaired, you do need to brush and floss each day. So you do need to maintain the body. So the beauty of the program is in the 6 weeks, you basically bring your nervous system back to health and stabilize it. But the exercises are such that now you just do those a little bit every day as maintenance, because you have to maintain the body. So that's how you maintain it. So the 6 weeks, you repair it, bring it back to health. But then you have built the daily habit, which is not only less, but also you want to do it. Meaning, for people that have been really physically unhealthy their whole life, and they eat cheeseburgers and crappy food because that's what they grew up with, and then they start to get healthy and they feel great, they just naturally want to do the healthy thing. It just feels good. So even the things you have to do, you want to do, and they become a habit because it just feels natural and good.
Gotcha. Wow. I'm very happy that we met, and I'm so glad that you shared your system with us today, with me today, with my audience. I know that they're going to be appreciative too, because how can they not be if they just slow down their thought process and hear what you have to say and listen to what you're talking about? Because as me as a medical background person, fixing the nervous system makes so much sense to me. It's like, duh, like that was my aha moment during this conversation was when you led me down the path and you're like, what do you do about your nervous system? Like how do you maintain? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to maintain my nervous system. It's just those butterflies, like you don't know how. Nobody teaches you how to maintain your nervous system. Nobody teaches you some of the things that we should know as adults. It's like nobody teaches how to do a checkbook anymore, like and then they wonder why their bank went back, went negative, and it's like because nobody ever teaches people how to do bank statements anymore and balance your checkbook because it's all on an app. But if you look at your app at the wrong time, you got the wrong amount of money in there, and then you go buy something and you're in negative. So it just makes a lot of sense as this medical guy sitting here who is an entrepreneur, who has created his own businesses, who has had fear and doubt and procrastination. Oh, procrastination. I didn't even talk about my procrastination. Holy shit. That could be another hour conversation of my procrastination when it comes to anything in life. And I just chalked it up as my ADHD. But it makes sense if my nervous system is right. There's something I do know that through talking and reading stuff about procrastination, it is a base of fear. And that is something that if you can fix that, whatever that hidden fear is, then your procrastination floats away. So that makes so
also one of the takeaways from this is that everybody's been misdiagnosed. You're not a procrastinator. You have a malfunctioning nervous system that then expresses itself through you being afraid to start and finish things. But you know what else is misdiagnosed? If you have trouble with attention, if you're scared, how good do you think you are at paying attention if you're afraid?
Huh? What?
Yeah.
Just kidding. What were you talking about? I wasn't paying attention.
So the point is,
me being an asshole.
It's called ADHD.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's what the experts do. They label a behavior
right.
And they just give it a name and charge a bunch of money. They're not telling you what it is or where it comes from. Maybe they give you some pills, but we're paying money to just label our problems. If you went to the ER and the guy walked out and was like, oh, you suffer from a severe case of getting stabbed and you're bleeding, that'll be $1,000. Like, that's useless. I don't need you to label the problem. I need to know what the heck it is. Right. So I'm not an expert in ADHD, but I can tell you 2 years ago, this trucker, Kevin, came to me and he's like, well, can I even do your program? I have ADHD. I was like, first of all, it's very simple, easy to follow. And I didn't say anything because I don't know. And I want to know and get results. So he went through, he had anxiety and panic attacks and ADHD and procrastination. He goes through the program. Week 6. He's like, I have never been this calm. I woke up this morning feeling something I never felt before, which was safe. And I just can't thank you enough. I have my life back. My kids have their dad back. My wife has her husband back. And I said, you're welcome. He said, and then I said, hey, how's your ADHD going? How's that going? And he said, it's funny you mentioned that. Yesterday it was just gone and I didn't know why. I was like, because what if part of the reason you have trouble holding attention is because you're terrified inside? He's like, that makes a lot of sense. I was like, I know. And the mental health experts missed it. OCD, obsessive compulsive, if you feel afraid inside, wouldn't it make sense that you would try and create a sense of order to try and calm yourself down?
Absolutely. Yes.
You cannot function when you feel unsafe. That's just obvious. But because the experts haven't figured this out, there's all these symptoms and they're labeling symptoms and getting paid a lot of money to label and medicate. So I cannot tell you, when you feel safe, so many areas of your life improve, your focus, your energy, but most importantly, you're free. You're free to be the best, most confident version of yourself. But you said something. You said, oh, this just makes sense. Who wouldn't reach out to you? Most people. Most people don't reach out for help. Oh. Logically, just the fact that we back up our results is incredible. The fact that it's 6 weeks, the fact that it's no risk to try, everybody should be working with us. And we don't help a ton of people. Now, we will hopefully in 30 years when this catches on, because people have tried so much stuff and it doesn't work. They've had this for so long. They unconsciously feel broken, like there's something wrong with me and I'm stuck with this forever. The experts haven't got it done. So it feels unsolvable, certainly not simple, but also they're afraid to fail now and try something and feel worse about themselves. But also, people say they want to change. They're afraid to change. This works.
There's fear to
But
change.
they've had it for so long, you unconsciously start to identify with it. And you're like, this is comfortable. I know this. Who would I be without this? And this is all unconscious. So the people that work with us, it's like 1 in 1,000. And it's for somebody who is skeptical, but they're paying attention to the possibility. And they are motivated not to get rid of the funky 5, but by what they would get, what their life would be if they were free of this. So most of you will just hear this podcast and go, oh, that was interesting. Daniel sounds very charming. I'd like to party with that guy. But you won't take action. But a few of you will. And these are the people. It's the people that realize that this whole time, the books, the videos, the retreats, the trainers, the coaches, they were giving you understanding. It was basically a flashlight. You're stuck in a cave that you can't escape, and they gave you a flashlight to understand things better. There's value in that. It helps you understand, maybe manage things. You don't bang your head quite as much in the cave. You know where the water is. Maybe you find out where the dangerous animals are. But understanding the cave and what it's made of, oh, it's limestone, it's not granite. That doesn't get you out of the cave. What gets you out of the cave is an escape plan. And that's what we've built. All the tools, basically the compass, the map, the trail mix, and a change of clothes when you get outside. And that is what you want. So if you're listening to this and you have anxiety and it's holding you back and you've tried a bunch of things, and maybe you meditate to make it better, but you're not as happy. You're afraid when you wake up in the morning. You're not looking forward to the day and you're just white knuckling it. It's holding you back. If you would like to be free of it, so you can wake up every morning looking forward to the day, dive into things, get back to doing what you love, we can get you that in 6 weeks. Come find us. If you procrastinate, and it's not stopping you, but it's slowing you down, it creates anxiety because there's this thing looming over you. And you just want to wake up every morning and do a lot of what makes you happy. Hours a day, doing what brings you joy with focus. So you feel proud of yourself. You get stuff done. You make way more money and you're more fulfilled. If you want that, we can get you that in 6 weeks. If you are a people pleaser and you're tired of it, and you're a recovering people pleaser, but that's just code for you still have it. If you would like to be free of that so that you knew how to take care of yourself first, speak up, get your needs met so you're not resentful and have healthier relationships, but also just be happier. We can get you that in 6 weeks. If you're a perfectionist and you want to not carry that burden around, get way more done so you're of value to the world and yourself, and you're proud of yourself, we can get you that in 6 weeks, and especially low confidence. That's the number one thing. You can call it doubt, low self-esteem. That's what's holding entrepreneurs back the most. Yeah. When that is gone, self-doubt gone, not managed, gone, you not only get more done, your business grows faster, you make more money, but you enjoy it more, because when you're white knuckling it, you'll get it done, but you're not enjoying it, so you can burn out. But if you're going to work hard, you might as well enjoy it and make it sustainable. So if that resonates with you, you want to have a business from a place of authenticity where you do not care what happens, which makes you much more productive, which makes the outcome much better. And you want that in 6 weeks. Any of those, one or multiples of the Funky 5, you want them gone, go to danielpackard.com. And there's 2 options. Both are you get a free call with me, which is pretty awesome. I'd hang out with me.
I've hung out with you for an hour and a half and I love it.
Yeah. And this is other evidence. I used to have imposter syndrome where I thought I was a fraud. And now I'm telling people, you should be lucky to talk to me. Not lucky, fortunate. Go to danielpackard.com. Either you book what we call a next steps call, which is you tell me what you're struggling with. And once I understand your situation, I'll give you some quick actionable steps that you can take, which will start to lower the fear and help with what you're struggling with. But if you're like, no, Daniel, like no risk to try your program, and if it works, I'm free of this, you can go to the website, find out information about the program, how it's laid out, the cost, which trust me is way less than you think, given what you get. You can learn about our no change, no charge guarantee. And if you want to find out if the program's a good fit, book a free quick call with me. I'll meet with you. I'll make sure it's a good fit. If this won't help you, we don't let you do it, because we don't want people to try and fail, because that leaves you in a worse place. So again, if you want a free next steps call or to find out more about the program and have a free quick call with me to see if it's a good fit for you, go to danielpackard.com.
Awesome. Well, that was going to be my next thing, is like tell people how to get a hold of you. And that's what you just laid out. I appreciate it. And Daniel, it has been a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you. And I'm so glad that that we got to meet. And I know there's going to be future conversations, because through all of this, I'm thinking he needs to come on Elevate. He needs to come on Elevate. We need to figure out how to do this for first responders, because this, of course, is Ignition Path, which is my entrepreneurial podcast. And I also run another podcast for first responder mental health. So it seems like it's so often that, because a lot of first responders, because we have so much time on our hands, we create a business. And we make more money on our days off than we do serving the community, because they don't know how to pay us shit, right? For the most part. So we always have a second or third job. I know myself, at one point in time, I had 5 different jobs that I did throughout the week. And today, actually, I did 3 of my jobs today. I repaired, I did some remodeling at a friend's house, their bathroom. I'm getting paid for it. I had some strategy calls, getting paid for that. And, I'm doing my podcast, which is hopefully eventually going to, monetize and make me money. So I'm like, I've done 3 of the things that I've got doing on my side thing. And then tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., I get up and I go serve my community for 24 hours. So within a 24-hour period, I've done 4 jobs right there. So it's one of those things where I'm so glad that we met and we had a chance to talk and to share your information and share the background for that. When it comes to the research, is that something that people can find as well on your website? Like the background, or, because some people, especially medical people, they want to dive into the research and what have you, and see what you did in your research and how it was obtainable. Like, is that something that people can find, or is that just something that?
Well, the short answer is no. But we would like, first of all, when people say, well, can we see your data? Can we see this? Can we say that? We sort of say, you know what? I think you're just skeptical, because no matter what data I have, no matter what theory I tell you, you don't know if it's going to work. There's a lot of people out there that have data, have a success rate. They tell you a theory. It sounds great. Doesn't get results. So what matters most is the no change, no charge guarantee. Because I could show you data, doesn't mean it works. Okay. So we always tell people, if you're really focused on that, you're too skeptical. You're cynical. You don't believe this is possible. Pay attention to, if it doesn't work, you don't pay. The only way we have that guarantee is if it worked. That guarantee, a lot of people do. When you take your car to a mechanic, you pay at the end. Why? Because they get results. The reason that the experts don't track results and measure results, they don't get results. You don't want to measure your results. It would expose your business model. So the best proof we have that we get results is that we back it up.
Gotcha.
That said, we want to run clinical trials with a researcher, someone who has letters at the end of their name, because our whole bottleneck with getting us to the world is skepticism. So if you're a doctor, therapist, someone in the academic community, we would love to do a clinical trial and get it published on a large scale, so we do have that data and to the world. So if you're out there and you're intrigued, please reach out to us to collaborate so we can get more conclusive, vetted data, so we can lower the skepticism and get people the health and freedom they need.
That's a bold statement, and hopefully someone listening to that will take you up on that. I know a couple of people in the research division at one of the biggest universities in the world, and I may be having a conversation with them in the next couple of weeks about this. So, because we're already doing some stuff when it comes to mindfulness, and they're doing studies on that there. So why not this when it comes to a physical nervous issue, right? So,
well, what's great is, and I just thought about this morning, not thought about this, but so again, personal development, therapy, psychology, and spirituality, they're learner sharers. They're not innovators. They're not scientists. It's okay. They're doing the best they can. But there are people, the neuroscientists, there are people trying to figure this out from a more scientific results perspective.
Right.
And that's great. They're not sitting, a neuroscientist doesn't say, this is your mindset. They're trying to figure out the brain, the Huberman lab. The problem is they're in the wrong place. They're at the symptom level. The body is the issue, and it spreads to the mind. So they're studying the mind And so their intention is good, but they're in the wrong place. Wrong meaning they're at the symptom level. So if you're a neuroscientist, now neuroscientists will say, well, it's connected to the amygdala. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, we're getting better results than you. So if you're a neuroscientist and you really want to find out what's going on and why the brain is malfunctioning, reach out to us. I'm not dismissing the neuroscientists. I'm just saying, based on results, they're in the wrong place. And if they knew that, they could use their incredible research and resources to help at a higher level.
You heard it, neuroscientists that are tuning into the Ignition Path podcast. Try to prove
you got to be confident in what you do to turn to a bunch of neuroscientists and say, you guys are wrong.
Right, exactly.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm not dismissing what they know.
Right.
I have the results to back up that the mind is a symptom and you go to the body first. So I love what they're doing. And what we figured out was not easy. I'm not calling them wrong or stupid. They're doing the best they can. Everybody thinks it's the mind. It looks like the mind. So they're doing the best they can. But if you're not getting the results you want to talk to a guy who's getting results, and just pick my brain or my nervous system and we just collaborate. If you're a neuroscientist, I'm not dissing you. I want to work with you.
There you go. There you go. All right, everybody. Daniel, once again, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody that's listening, I'm so glad you tuned in today. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If anything you hear during this discussion with Daniel, and a neuroscientist, or people in the places that he's put a challenge out for, share the podcast with them and get them in contact with them. So basically, that's a long version of saying, if you think of somebody that may be interested in this topic, go ahead. Don't forget to share that with them. Just copy that link and just send it right to them and say, hey, this is a great podcast for you to listen to or watch, however you intake your stuff. We're both on YouTube and all the major podcast platforms. So Daniel, once again, I appreciate you coming on the Ignition Path podcast, and it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you, and we'll be talking soon again.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Thank you for listening to Ignition Path, fueling the entrepreneurial fire.